Hi everyone, Christine here at Christine's Craft Table. I thought I would give you an update, what I've been working on, and let you all know, praise the Lord, I'm like 100% better than I was about a month ago when I was screaming in pain, unable to walk. Yeah, that was crazy. Really makes you thankful for basic mobility. You don't realize all you have until you don't. So I'm very thankful for lots of therapy and pain meds. Sadly, I hate taking medication, but sometimes you just need it. So I did. But thankfully, I'm off of all that, and I think I have one more appointment for physical therapy, and then after that, it's just up to me to keep exercising and work on getting healthier and a little bit less sedentary for my own good, for sure. But aside from all that, I lost a lot of crochet time. As you may have guessed, when you are in pain, you don't feel like crocheting, or some of us don't. And a lot of housework time. So I didn't only lose the month of not being able to do anything, but now it takes extra time to get caught up on everything. So I'm still working on that, but I'm able to get some crochet time in here and there, and actually probably crocheting less than I was 2 months ago. I just really trying to limit those long stretches of crochet time. I probably get up every hour or more if my dogs are particularly needy. And I just, rather than complaining, I'm grateful for the chance to get up for a minute and to stretch my legs. Anyway, all that to say, I have a little bit to share, but not as much as you'd think for as few videos as I've been putting out. First off, I will share what I think my very last video was about a border I was putting on this blanket, and I'm very happy with it. It's all done. It's actually been on my bed for about a week probably. It's gone through the washer, and this is for me. This is the Granny's Magical Cupboard blanket, all done. Yeah, that's the front. And it's been joined and bordered and everything. The final size for mine is about 51 inches across and 65 inches long. And I just find it so much fun to lay this out on my bed and to see it every night before I'm going to bed. It's cheerful, and it's actually got some substance to it. Some of these squares with more yarn really have some weight to them. So the blanket itself is actually pretty warm. So I use it. And nothing I make generally is just for show. I'm about beauty and function. So I am just really enjoying using this blanket, and we'll see how the yarn fares with the continued use. I'm curious because most of it is Big Twist value yarn, which I've mentioned before I'm not crazy about. I believe it used to be a much higher quality when it came out years ago, but more recently it's suffered. And that's the yarn that I bought, unfortunately, because I've only been crocheting a few years. So the white and the grape color and this light green is all big twist. So we'll see how it does going through the washer and dryer, and it's nice and soft, I'll tell you that. And after the first wash and dry, I mean, there's a little bit of fuzziness, but nothing that bothers me. It's still beautiful. The other yarns I used on here were, this dark green is Karen Simply Soft, that dark sage color, and then this light sage is Loops and Threads Soft Classic, which actually, if I take a good look at it, probably has fared the best with the use and the washing and drying. It's probably showing the least amount of fuzz on it. Well, I don't know. This light green looks pretty good too. I don't know. The blanket is not falling apart. It is in good shape. These flowers, which was probably my least favorite square in the whole make along or crochet along, I just think they're delightful now. It was 4, to remind you, the pattern's called Granny's Magical Cupboard, and it was a crochet along with Jada at Jada and Stitches, and we did 1 pattern per, I'll show you, I'll put up a big picture of the whole blanket, because obviously you just can't see it all with me messing with it. It was a pattern release. She released each month, and you could make as many squares as you wanted to come up with the blanket size that you wanted to have at the end. And so I made 4 squares a month, and when I put the squares together, I grouped each of the 4 squares of that pattern together. That just made the most sense to me. So this is fun. I forget what all the square patterns are called, but if you check out her crochet along, it's all in a playlist on her website or her YouTube channel. And I really recommend this crochet along because at this point you can go at your own pace. All the videos are there, and none of the squares was super difficult at all. And she's a great teacher. She walks you through each step. And of course, with a YouTube video, you can always pause and rewind, and they're in little, you just take on a little chunk at a time because all you're doing is this size square. It's like a 7.5 inch square, 6 rounds in each one. And I just think these are so fun because they have these little poofies around. And so the texture on this blanket is incredible. Here's another pattern. And then another. This one was, my heart, I have a hard time picking a favorite. This one, I think they call it, I don't remember what it's called. It's these braids that are kind of sitting on top of the square, and the way I'm having trouble talking if you haven't heard. Whatever colors you choose really affects the way the pattern looks. I mean, look at that one. It looks like a flower, and it's the same pattern as the rest of these. The others look kind of like starbursts. I don't know, very cute. My hair's run. I forgot what I was saying. So anyway, I'm loving using the blanket. It's a great crochet along. You can do it at your own pace now, and just pick. Initially I only picked 3 colors, and then I added in 2 more just to give it a little more variation. But I think it would have been fine using the 3 colors that I had started with, and that was just the dark grape, white, and the spring green color, this color. Except for some reason I only bought 1 skein of this spring green. I don't know what I was thinking. But I'm happy with mine. I'm really happy with the way mine turned out. And if you look at Jada's community page, you have to go back a little ways because this ended in December. So in January time frame is when she posted a lot of pictures of people's blankets that they had put together already. And there's so much variation. I mean, you really use your own personality to create what you want to create with the colors that you enjoy. And like I said, it's just one square a month or a video, so no pressure, no pressure. You just obviously have to have a little bit of self-discipline if you want to finish it, because probably the point it got most tedious, was the combining of all the squares. I had 48 squares to combine, and that's when I got sick. So that's why I'm so late. We are here in March, and everybody, I think, has long ago finished their blankets. And oh, and then you choose the border. I think she did a different border, but I forget why I didn't want to do that border. Oh, I think it was the color. I had to use this dark grape as my border color because I didn't have enough white. And I thought I might have a little trouble seeing the stitch, how to do the stitches in the border that she chose. So this is a mini basket weave, and it's got, again, just wonderful texture to it, but not too busy that it's taking anything away from the rest of the blanket. That's why I only wanted to use one color too in that border. I think I did 3 rows. 1, 2, 3. This is another cool square. Isn't that neat, that pattern? Dropping this on the floor. Okay, so I think I've shared all I had to share about this blanket. Oh, here's the back of I combined the squares with the ladder stitch, so you really can't see any joining. So each square gets to just shine all on its own. And the back is pretty clean. Here's the back. And you do see the stitches because I joined it with the color purple, but not bad at all, in my opinion. And it saved me from having to buy more yarn because the ladder stitch hardly uses any yarn. You're just basically sewing them together. Jada beautifully designed each square so that they all had the same number of stitches. So joining the squares, occasionally I would somehow get off by 1 or 2. So I just kept an eye on how my joining was going. So if I needed to, I just picked up an extra stitch as I was sewing. It was no big deal. I did not stress over it, and no one will ever know. So that's finished, and I'm proud of it. Will I do another? You know, I would be tempted to do another if I was looking for a really cool blanket to make for someone. Obviously, it's time consuming because doing the one little border or the one little square at a time, 4 squares a month, was no big deal. But if you tried to do this non-stop, well, again, there's so much variety in it, you probably wouldn't get bored with it, that's for sure. And the joining was really not that bad using that ladder stitch because it was quick. And so yeah, I recommend it. I might even do another, choose a whole different color scheme and have fun with it. Lots of fun. Totally. I guess what I love about it too is it was, like I said, I've only been crocheting a few years, so I'm not, doing anything real technical, and it was fun, but challenging at the same time. But she's such a good teacher that you don't feel overwhelmed. You don't feel like I cannot do this at all. You just slow down and you take it one stitch at a time, and you learn. I learned 12 new granny squares. So that was the first project. Second thing I recently finished was a quick project that came up, and I don't even have them anymore because they are on their way to their recipient. But my brother called me up and said he had a special request for his granddaughter. She had asked for a family of 4 soup bowls. She's into plushies and stuffed food, I guess. So, first, she asked for a family of 4 steaks. I don't know where they get this. I said, well, if I can find a pattern, I can make it because I am not into designing. That's a little bit too stressful for me at this point. And so if I can find a pattern, I will make it. And a free pattern is even better. So I searched YouTube, of course. That's my go-to to begin with. And I did find some cute soup bowls and some steak. Interestingly enough, now she didn't want steaks that looked raw, so she didn't want the red color steak. It was going to have to be brown. But if you think about a piece of steak, it's not really that interesting. So I did find some patterns. It was a T-bone steak, and of course she put a little face on it, and it's going to look cute. So I sent him that. And then I also found soup bowls that looked really cute, some soups. And then I kept looking on the soup, and I found these Cup O Noodles pattern. And I thought, well, I'll just send him this too, because that looks easy enough. And sure enough, she was like crazy about the Cup O Noodles. Who knew? I guess her mom likes to eat Cup O Noodles, and she just thought that would be so cute. So I ended up making her a family of 4 cups of noodles. They said hold on the steak family, so we're not doing the family of 4 steaks. This is the same niece that I made the family of 4 bananas for a while back. I think I also made her a little piggy amigurumi. So she's into family of 4 plushies. And so we will provide it as long as we can. So these were fun to make. All I have left is my prototype. So there he is. Isn't that adorable? It's got the little noodles, some peas and carrots. And I made each one with a different crochet hook to get the sizes to vary a little bit. I knew I couldn't go too big because then I'd start getting holes in the, too much space between the stitches, and I didn't want that. But thankfully they're white, so you really can't see any stuffing, even in the Papa one. And he's not that, they're just minutely bigger, the 4 of them, because when you just go up I went up half a size hook. I think this one is, I think it went 3.5 millimeter, 4 millimeter, 4.5, or 4.25, and then 4.5 was the largest one. I'll pop up a picture of the 4 of them for you, which I did take before I shipped them off. So I kept the prototype. The only reason I didn't go with these colors is because this isn't quite bright enough. I think I was trying to use my stash, and this yellow is kind of tame. And then the yellow that I had, again, was not that bright, and this is a cotton yarn, actually. And then even the peas and carrots, my carrots are more of a rust color there, and the peas are like a moss green color. So I decided it's for a little girl, so it should be brighter. And the pattern was using brighter colors as well. So I went with the bright orange from Hobby Lobby. I love this yarn. And a bright green from that same yarn. And I think the white is leftover Big Twist, actually. And then this brown was a scrap yarn. I had a mocha, marled mocha. I love this yarn as well. And then of course black was Yarn Bee Sugar Will Black. Anyway, I think they're adorable. I can't stop looking at them. This one gets to sit on my desk. And it was only a couple 100 yards of yarn total, I think, for the set of 4. And so that was that. And next, I finished a pair of socks. Oh, I didn't tell you, in case you're interested, the pattern for the, oh, I love to give details. Sorry, I forgot to mention that the Granny's Magical Cupboard used a total of 3,192 yards. That's combining all the colors. And I told you the total size. Yeah, that's about it. The Cup O Noodles pattern is by Green Fairy Mari on YouTube. It was a video. I'll put a link to everything I mentioned in the description box if you're interested in checking any of these out. And yeah, I used about 200 yards for all 4 of them. So next up, I have my socks I finished, and I love this pattern. I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is a pattern by Olga Poltava, and it's called, I think she recently, my hairs get on everything. I think she recently changed the name of this pattern. Yeah, it used to be Socks for Chubby Feet or something like that, and I think she got some negative feedback. And so the name is Socks for Whiter Feet, and the pattern is available on Ravelry. I think she's got it on Etsy as well. And I made my first pair using just her YouTube tutorial, which I highly recommend. She has a tutorial. If you buy the, I mean, it's great to have the pattern written, and I'm glad I have it because now I can use it. I think I'm actually on my 3rd pair of these now, crocheting them. I think now I can just use the paper pattern, but for your first time, the heel is a little bit tricky, in my opinion. And so it's really good to watch her work that heel. It's made in 2 pieces. See this part going this way, and then you have this part going this way. And it's easy once you know what she's doing, but it really helps to have that video to look at while you're reading that part of the pattern. The rest is just single crochet. It's all single crochet except for the ribbing where we're doing some post stitches. But these fit great. They're a tiny bit loose, but I wear them to sleep in, so they're fine for me. And I am starting another pair actually in the same yarns, and I went down a hook size to see if that makes it just a little bit snugger, which will be fine as well, but I thought I would try that. So this first pair was with a 3 1/4 millimeter hook, and that's what the pattern calls for. And then I went to a 3 millimeter hook for this pair. And I'm making them together so they come out the same. So now I'm working on the green part on this one. And I love this yarn. It's Sasquatch yarn, Robin Beach's store online, but she was having this yarn dyed especially for her, this multicolor. And then the green is Cascade. Cascade Yarns Heritage. Both fingering weight, sock weight, 75% superwash merino, and 25% nylon. My prim hook occasionally catches on these, and I'm noticing a few little snags kinda probably stretch themselves out. But the prim hook tends to have, it has this pretty sharp tip there. Let's see, against the black. Anyway, I love my prim hooks, but they do catch a little bit on this yarn. And these have already been washed and they came out just fine. I put them in the washer on cold, just with everything else. And then I dried them flat, or put them on my clothes dry, or hung them to dry flat. Technically not flat, hanging on a little bar, but you know what I mean. I didn't put them in the dryer. Lastly, and this isn't even a crochet item, but I did work on it recently, so I thought I'd mention it. I once got a skein of yarn that I had won from Judy at Judy's Creations and Crochet, and she enclosed this cute little yarn cozy, and I use it so much that I thought I'm gonna make some more because I just love this, and it's so easy. It's just two, straight stitches, and you buy a knit type yarn so that it is stretchy. And of course she had this darling Hello Kitty fabric. So when I was at Hobby Lobby the other day, I picked up this cute strawberry yarn in a knit. I think I sewed it the wrong way, but it still works. You know how knit stretches more in one direction? The stretch is actually in this direction, and I sewed it the opposite of that, but it still works. My yarn ball fit good in it. So I like them because I just, even if you don't finish using the cake of yarn, this will hold it nice and secure so it's not unraveling on me, because these are nice just for my nicer yarns. I don't have that many, and very few actually in progress, because I heard you do not cake up a hank of yarn until you're ready to use it. Something about stretching out the yarn. So what else? Oh, and one more. This one, this is when I realized the stretching thing. So I did sew this one in the right direction, but this one is just a little bit narrow. So I'm not sure. I think if I use it for a yarn that I don't have a lot left of, it'll be fine. Yeah. So for my smaller cakes that I don't use up, I can use this one. So I only bought a 1/4 yard of each of these, and I'm probably gonna get a ton of little bags because they're so small. And they really are easy once you figure out the knit fabric stitch to use on your sewing machine. And yeah, because they're a piece of cake. Of course, then I had an episode where it got caught in my sewing machine, and it took me a half hour to get it uncaught. I was almost at the stage where you have to take it to a licensed repair person, but I said, no, I'm not gonna take this. So I just kept working it and took apart as much as I could take apart. That's actually why it ended up so narrow, because I had to cut off the part that had to be cut out of the machine. So, and then I realized that I needed to clean the machine, because I guess what they call the race, where the bobbin goes, was pretty full of little pieces of lint. So we cleaned that out and went back to sewing, and it was much better after that. Another thing I got caught up on was mending. I will not bore you with all of that, but I had several items that had been sitting around for, I want to say months. Yeah, let's just be honest. And I got to those, so I'm so happy to have all that done. And with that, I will say goodbye. Hope that was interesting. I do recommend that sock pattern, the Cup of Noodles. There's a lot of little pieces to work on, but it's easy. It's all single crochet and uses so little stuffing because, you know, this is about, I don't know if you can tell, but it's just about 3 inches tall. So they're pretty small, about a third of the size of a real cup of noodles. And you're not even stuffing the whole thing. Probably an inch of this is just the lid or the rim. And she has you put a little piece of plastic canvas. Well, she didn't say plastic canvas, but she said use a little piece of plastic at the bottom and hot glue it on. I figured to make it stand, but mine just don't stand very well. So I don't know if I overstuffed them or what, but I don't think the little piece of plastic canvas really helped that much. I like the way one little noodle hangs off the side. That's intentional. I did not forget to tack that in. Okay, I'm done.